Leagues of Votann's a pretty cool army. Ever since they came out, I've had my eye on them. Every Battle Force box that comes out, Christmas time, all that stuff, I'm always looking at it, but I never really pulled the trigger. Why? I don't like dwarfs. There, I said it. I do not like the squat fantasy style, big beards, stocky dwarves, mining, all that stuff. It's just never been my thing. But then one day I was sitting looking at Leagues of Votann and I was thinking, what can I do with these guys to make them more my style? And it hit me. Goblins. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Richard here from Crash Course Hobbies, and today we're going to fix Leagues of Votann by making them goblins. Alright, let's get this bit of awkwardness out of the way. I hadn't planned on restarting the channel when I was working on the conversions of these guys, so I didn't get footage of that, but I did manage to snap a few photos throughout the process that I was going to send to some friends, so you can see them in all of their gray glory. My ADHD brain is always looking for the next exciting thing, the next army, the next game, next project. It doesn't matter as long as it gets the hobby juices flowing and the inspiration strikes. With this army, it hit me all at once, and getting the conversions together was pretty easy once I found the look I was going for. Originally, I wanted nothing but long, floppy-eared, big-nosed, derpy goblins, but I struggled to find heads that would work. And most of the AOS goblins, they've got like weird hoods or other things on their heads. The Gretchen kit had some solid goblin-looking options, but I needed more variety. So for this project, I really didn't want to turn to a 3D printed option just yet, and I was pleasantly surprised to find a bunch of hobgoblin-like heads on some Cruel Boys that I had in a few Spearhead magazines. The great thing was that each of those models comes with 2 head options, so I was able to take the ones without any head coverings and still have heads left over for the AOS guys later on. So it was a win! I also found a way to work in a squig by making a leash out of some green stuff. I love how he's running the other way and the goblins like trying to pull him along. I think it just fits the theme so well. When it comes to orcs and goblins, I love the look of a pale blue skin. So I knew going into this army that I wanted armor color that was going to contrast with it so the goblins would really pop. That way people would know these are goblins. I don't like painting box art color schemes. We've gone over this 100 times before. But in this case, I wanted something that would sell the theme of my idea. And I think choosing a league that had a contrasting color scheme, in this case the Trans-Hyperion Legion, made the most sense. Because this way it shows that the dwarves lost their armor to these goblins rather than the goblins just being some kind of weird sub-faction of the Votann, if that makes sense. Around this time I just received Monument's first one-step colors and I was really excited to try them out. The orange in that set is the perfect mix of punchy, vibrant color with extra coverage, but it still has some translucency for achieving that nice contrast effect. For this army, I wanted to try these new paints out through the airbrush, since airbrushing is one of my favorite ways to use contrast paints. I mean, they're basically just ink washes that don't require much thinning. I just added a little bit of Tamiya X28 thinner to prevent some dry tip, and I was off to the races. The first step was to airbrush the orange one step over a zenithal of white ink, and the one step did exactly what I was hoping for. It gave me a nice punchy base coat with some contrast from the zenithal doing a lot of the hard work for me. In my head, these guys have a super punchy orange armor, so I wanted to take it up just another notch. I wasn't satisfied by just having one boring base coat, and I wanted to mix in some fluorescent yellow and a little bit more of that one step orange, and then added in a little bit, like 50% or so more, of Pro Acryls Nova Orange, which is a slightly less saturated orange. Now my thinking was that the fluorescent yellow would punch it up, while the Nova Orange would still make for a lighter highlight color on the top facing surfaces of the model. So I went back around and airbrushed the models from above, again being very careful to only hit the highlights or so on the top 50% of the model. The secondary color for the Trans-Hyperion Legion is a dark gray or black color. I didn't want to take the base coat that dark because I wanted some room to really create more contrast, so I started by mixing some of the one-step medium, satin black, and dark neutral gray from Pro Acryl. The one-step medium is surprisingly really good at transforming their regular acrylics into one-step paints. You just need to kind of experiment a little bit with the saturation to get the effect that you want. I did this because I didn't want to waste time coloring in a bunch of pants, gloves, and armor joints, but this allowed me to have a super simple one-coat solution to a boring part of the process. I went in with a sharp brush, and I like golden maple sables for contrast painting because, we don't want to use our super expensive brushes, but these do have a very nice sharp tip, and because they are a lot cheaper than most sables, getting around 4 or 5 for about 20 bucks is the perfect way to get the best of both worlds. I also hit their guns with this color as well because it's a great base for any type of metal weaponry. My thinking was that I would leave the panels of the guns the orange color and then use the gray for the more mechanical bits like grips, barrels, and other stuff. For this cute little squig, I mixed up some of the one-step crimson, which is a little bit on the pink side with some of their one-step shadow flesh, and this gave me a great pig-like skin tone. So by now you may have noticed a bit of a theme with this video, and to that I say, good for you, you smart little cutie. And if you haven't, well, we all have room for improvement. Monument Hobbies had sent me their one-step paints to try out around the time when I started this video, and then towards the tail end of it, I received the Wave 2 paints. And so I really got a chance to be very hands-on with all of the one-step paints, and obviously really like how they behave. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Monument Hobbies paints, so don't take my word for it. Get a bottle for yourself, see if you like how they behave, and when you're ready to jump in with both feet, you can use my code CCH10 at checkout, save yourself a bit of money, and help support this channel along the way. With that, let's get back to the video. Now, the Trans-Hyperion Legion has these weird white stripes on their shoulders and other accents, and I definitely didn't want to go up to a pure white, so I used the heavy warm white with a little bit of olive flesh to give me a nice warm off-white color. This still sells the effect, but in my opinion, it's way less distracting than trying to highlight all the way up to pure white. I mean, after all, clean is not the look I'm going for on these guys anyway. I took a decent amount of time really adding in a few coats at a time of the warm white on their shoulder pads and raised details on their gauntlets. I knew these were going to be a backing for the decals, and I wanted them to be very nice blocked out colors with full opacity. I've talked about this color before, but my favorite base for any lighter color on Pro Acryl is bright neutral gray. I went all over the areas that I wanted to have the glow effect later, like the power sword blades, armor lights, and visors. I also use this as a base for the light blue skin. Whenever I paint sci-fi guns, I like to base coat the whole thing in a dark gray and then pick out about half the details or so in a darker metallic. I just feel like this breaks up the different elements of the weapon and makes it look more interesting. And on this army, I used Pro Acryl's Magnesium, which is a really interesting metallic color with a slightly silver to orange accent. So with my base coats applied, I got out the transfers and started planning out exactly how I wanted them to look. Like I mentioned, I really wanted to keep the style of this army looking as proper Trans-Hyperion Legion as possible, so I copied the box art style and placed the transfers for their league and squad markings. My favorite way to do this is to just cut the decal out and throw it in my wet palette and let it soak for a few seconds. Then, just using a clean brush, I'll dab some water on the area that I want the transfer to go. I use that brush to slide the decal off and right onto the armor piece, and the water will allow me to easily move it around a bit with the tip of the brush until I can get it where I'm happy with. From there, you just gently tap it down with the brush bristles, and it'll set the decal in place. I'm planning to varnish these guys afterwards, so it'll help secure the decal, but that said, I've never had issues with the transfer falling off using this method even without varnish or adhesive. I ended up going back and reinforcing the orange on a few of the weapons because at first I wasn't sure how I wanted them to look, and I ended up settling on this two-tone orange and gray look to match the armor, and I think it works. My favorite way to get this skin recipe started is to go with the bright neutral gray as a base coat, then wash it with Briar Queen's Chill contrast paint to get that nice pale blue, and then I hit it with a blue wash from Army Painter, which kind of gets the blue back into the recesses and brings up a little bit more of the saturation, and then highlight the skin from there. From the beginning, I planned on using an enamel wash on these guys because I want them to look grimy and dirty. After all, goblins aren't going to care much about maintaining their armor, and they came from the underground, so yeah, dirty. Because of this, I wanted to apply my highlights before the enamel wash. I mixed up some Nova Orange and some Ice Yellow to give these guys some quick volumetric highlights in a few key areas. I was worried that they would look a little bit too flat on the table, so I really wanted to push the highlights even further. Ever since the first idea popped into my head about this army, the main thing that really grabbed me was the idea that these gobbos have scribbled their goblin imagery all over their armor. I can just imagine these little goofballs giggling away in their caves, painting on bad moons in the shroom light. I printed up some goblin iconography to use as a reference and went to town picking random areas to paint on their goblin graffiti. A bad moon here, a mushroom there. This armor is pretty tricky for freehands, I gotta admit. The small armor panels and tiny surface area of the Votann really didn't make this job very easy. On several of the suits I tried to have the freehand span multiple pieces of armor, and this was a pretty tricky process, and I'm glad that these are supposed to be goblins doing this, because if it was anybody who could do a clean job, I'd be hosed. I'm really not the best freehander, but I really like the personalized touch it can give your models, and I highly encourage you guys to give it a try. You'd be amazed at what you can accomplish with a solid reference image and some patience. To add some additional wear to the armor, I sponged on some silver paint. I did this using a very porous sponge to add a little bit more randomness to the very small areas that paint was scratched off, and it'll naturally hit the raised areas where it would more likely happen in the first place. To accentuate the wear and tear on the weapon and some of the more abused areas like shoulder pads, I decided to go back through with the dry brush and just do a little bit more silver on some of those areas to make them look even more worn. Once I had the freehands done, I hit the models with a few coats of satin varnish through the airbrush. I usually just mix 50-50 Vallejo satin varnish and water for this. I gave the models a few hours to dry and then mixed up some enamel wash. I chose to use the Villainy inks for this. I really like their enamels for army painting. It's quick and it doesn't subdue your original paint job once you remove the wash with mineral spirits and a sponge. I dirtied up these gobbos and made them look like the cute grimy cave rats they are. I let this sit on them for about 30 to 45 minutes and then grabbed some mineral spirits and lightly sponged off the enamel wash using a beauty blender or egg-shaped makeup sponge. The hardest part of this paint job, honestly, was just waiting for the enamels to cure. I'd strongly recommend waiting 24 to 48 hours before painting on top of these. Once cured, however, they can easily be painted over with acrylics or really any other kind of paint. When it came to basing these guys, I really wanted to keep it as simple as possible. I envisioned them being on some kind of desolate moon, so I wanted a light gray rocky surface. And with how complex the paint job is, with the bright colors and the freehand, and I really wanted all of the attention to kind of be on the blue OSL and the blue goblin skin, so I just felt like the base should just fade into the background and allow for the model to be the star of the show. I used some slate rocks and fine particle texture paste, and when doing this method, I usually just glue the rocks on, slap the texture paste, and then use a brush-on primer onto my rocks, so I can paint my real rocks to look like realistic rocks later. Makes sense, right? On a few of the running guys or any other model where you have them standing on one foot in like an action pose, I'll usually try to leave some kind of footprint or two in the texture paste just to kind of sell that dusty moon surface effect. Speaking of dusty, what better way to sell the effect than to slap on a pigment wash? I didn't have the exact tone that I was looking for, but I was able to get that nice lunar surface look by just combining some titanium white and black iron oxide monument pigments. I mixed these up in a medicine cup with my special pigment wash recipe and simply slathered this diluted pigment all over the bases and boots of most of these guys, and on some cases even a little bit higher up. They're goblins, maybe they tripped. This is a great way to accentuate the story that I'm going for, and it shows that they've been trudging along in their armor for a while. And once that was done, I switched to some white ink and flow improver to lay down a white base for the glow effects. I wanted to have some bright blue OSL and energy effects on these guys. I feel like it really sells the subterranean look of them to have their lights kind of broadcasted out to other parts of their armor, and I just love playing with OSL in general. For this paint job, I challenged myself to do the OSL entirely with the brush. I mixed up 3 to 4 levels of highlight with my blues, starting with a darker blue into Pro Acryls regular blue, and then ended with the highlight of pure sky blue. But I do think it's important when layering a mix like this to always mix a little bit of your previous color in to keep those colors looking cohesive. A good rule of thumb when painting OSL is to use the inverse square law. This law states that light intensity drops in proportion to the square of the distance from the light source, basically just meaning doubling the distance cuts the light source from 1/4 of the original brightness. So when it comes to miniatures, we may choose to stretch that a little bit for effect, but really ultimately it means to sell the effect of the light that we want. A lot of times you're going to use a lot less of it, and it'll go a lot farther than you might think with any real intensity. Overall, I'm really happy with how this combat patrol turned out. I was able to take this silly concept and turn it into a reality with relatively few roadblocks in a pretty short amount of time. I finished these guys in a week or so of evenings painting here and there, and that includes waiting for the enamels. I do think I kind of phoned it in on the power swords. I'll admit I was kind of done at the end. I may go back and make them look a little bit nicer later, but sometimes we're just ready to move on to the next thing. Especially with a healthy dose of ADHD on my side, it happens. Seeing these guys complete really makes me want to look at other units in the army and see what weird ways I can goblinify them. I think the rest of the army should be relatively simple except for those weird shirtless berserker guys, but I think I'm up for the challenge. So just remember, you can always tweak an army to be more your style. That's what makes this hobby so great. Creativity is king, and so are goblins. So this one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed just painting up the combat patrol, doing the conversion. It was kind of one of those where the inspiration struck and I wanted to just dive right in, and that's basically all I did until I finished the project. It probably took about a week or so on and off. Of course, filming and doing all that stuff makes it take a little bit longer, but I really enjoyed the process, and I've never really done like orange armor before, so it was a really fun exercise in trying to get that right and using the one-step paints to kind of get that orange shade that I liked. And overall, it's just a really fun and exciting project. And so now I'm really looking forward to like, how do I expand on this army? How can I make the conversions even more bold? What can I do with the vehicles? What kind of crazy stuff can I do? Can I work some Troggoths in there? Can I work, some of that other kind of stuff? Like, how can I make these guys extra goblin-y? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. If y'all have ideas of what I can do to make these guys extra derpy, extra goblin-y, I'm all for it. Maybe let me know what kind of conversion I should do next or what kind of project. I had a lot of cool stuff coming up and I'm super excited to get back to the painting desk. So I'm gonna do that right now, but I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you subscribe, follow, bling blong, click, clack, TikTok, all the stuff, guys. It really helps support me and keep me going. And really the idea here is to grow this thing as much as I can, get out of the awful, boring day job grind and just paint models all day, man. That's just what I'm trying to do. But really, it's more than just the business aspect. It's really chasing a dream, and that's why I am ready to do it. So, again, thank y'all so much. I hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun making it, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, I want to marry that squid.
Hey, get back here.
He's kissing the
Dang it, Steve. How many times have I told you to stop kissing the squigs? Oh, man. That guy's a weirdo.
Yeah.